All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, Average Misters. There's our Mega-san T. Welcome back to Rose Guns Days. Last time, a bunch of stuff happened, and Rose thought Claudia and Wayne died when we know that's impossible for at least Wayne, so Claudia's probably alive too, but more importantly, Rose and Leo, yes! Woo! Yes! Yes! Hello, Luca. Welcome to the stream. Rose and Leo got together! Woo! Oh my god. Yeah. Seriously. Oh my god. Ryukishi, my man, always comes through for me. Oh god. Seriously. It was like... I swear. Ryukishi's like...
Oh, Claudia likes Satoko and Rika together? Well, I love that too. And thus I will make a new series in which that totally happens. There you go, Claudia.
Why, thank you, Ryukishi.
No problem.
Jeez. Oh my god. So let's get back into this. I can't wait to see what happens. And by the way, yeah. Lee Meiju, who did that freaky hypnosis dragon thing to Rose, I think he is definitely going to become a boss later. After Caleb, like Amanda just cut and run. Unless she's going to come back with help later, but it looks like she skipped town. And I'm glad that she didn't turn out to be evil. That was really cool twist, I thought. So, the morning after, Rose and Leo. Wait. I just realized something. Is Rose and Leo a Titanic reference? Oh my god. Just like Metal Gear Solid 2. It's possible. Oh my god. I wonder. Okay. Let's get back into it.
Weren't you a lady of the evening?
Oh. Well, I always worked with administrative matters. I knew it. I knew she was a virgin. Yeah, that's probably what Leo was referring to. Rose laughed embarrassedly, clutching at her blanket. Leo stood up and made to light his cigarette, but smiled grimly and stopped. What you said about captains made it really easy to understand.
Well, talking like that used to be my job, more or less.
Your job?
During the war. I went to a certain country far to the south.
Where did he go? Yeah.
It was a pitiable country. For hundreds of years since the time of the East India Company, that country was a colony of a foreign nation.
Wait, are you talking about Australia? In the 16th century, during the Age of Exploration, the great nations of the world used the limits of their technology to make colonies out of undeveloped countries, expanding their territory. Until World War II, nearly all of Asia was filled with colonies of these great powers. Oh, 200 years, so it's not Australia. This southern nation has also been turned into a colony in that era, and over 200 years had passed since then. With the 1960 United Nations Resolution, Declaration on the Granting of Independence to Colonial Countries and Peoples, One could say that colonialism was denounced by worldwide consent. However, during the centuries leading up to that, humanity had, practically speaking, acknowledged a country's right to make colonies of other countries.
They had fought bravely several times before, trying to gain independence. However, bravery alone isn't enough to win a fight.
But they didn't have any weapons.
Problem was even more basic than that. People of that colony had no chance to learn the necessary skills.
Even if they had a limitless passion for independence, they had no chance to learn how to shoot a gun, much less lead a battle. They even had no way to learn how to manage their country after achieving independence. It goes without saying that the ruling country had no reason to teach them these skills.
My job was to teach them how to protect their country. They gathered a large number of passionate young people.
Oh, that was no more narration. Leo's group had taught them all the techniques and attitudes needed to protect their home. Is the music coming through for you guys okay? Or, I just want to make sure you guys can hear it okay. Beneath the blazing sun and blue skies, they kept undergoing strict training to take back their country by their own hands. They struck through the most unpleasant drills, never losing their determined gazes toward their big dreams. Then sometimes they would sit in a circle under a tree and talk excitedly of the shining future they'd have once they regained their nation's pride.
Every last one of them was young and good. They all felt pride for their homeland. They burned with enthusiasm as the thought they might be able to reclaim the national identity they'd lost for over 200 years.
Although by that time, could they even remember what it was? And would they even want it back by that time? I think if it's been that long, I think it's better for them to create a new identity for themselves rather than try to recapture something that even their grandparents had no experience with. Well, incorporating elements of it, but they should probably try to create something new that they want. To a young Leo, those young people must have shone so brightly. Leo had made an oath with them. When the time came for them to fight for their homeland's independence, he would fight alongside them. Leo had proudly stated that this was why the Japanese army had come, but
To free Asia from colonial rule. That was our country's just cause. But was that really true? Or was it just propaganda to spur us on?
I consider it, given what Japan did to China during World War II, I'm pretty sure it was the latter.
I don't know.
Because that would be the utmost hypocrisy. And then on April 1st, 1944, a violent natural disaster broke out again across the Japanese island chain. The war came to a sudden end. Even Leo's group was ordered to disarm immediately and return home. After that, troops from the country that had ruled this colony would land again as part of the Allied forces. To a young Leo, it sounded like they were being forced to abandon these people who were so enthusiastic about winning their independence. Later on, the ship taking him back hit a mine and sank. Leo drifted to a certain island, was captured by the Allied forces, and spent 3 years in a prison camp. Ouch. In that prison camp, he had been given a historical re-education from the point of view of the Allied forces.
Of course, I'd never accept the enemy's words blindly. Still, a lot of the things they said fit. We soldiers departed with the just cause of freeing Asia in our hearts. Then we talked about it with the young people in that country, sweating together and talking about the future. But it's possible that our higher-ups totally played us for chumps.
Even Leo, as a low-ranking officer, had seen a lot of things that weren't pretty. While he was a single cog in the army, he had never questioned it particularly. However, looking back now, he wasn't at all confident that their high-ranking officers really had an honest desire to free those people. Yeah. I think Leo just had are we the baddies moment. Yeah. It pained him to the point of agony, and he passed several sleepless nights filled with confused anger and sadness. And then when he reached his 3rd year in the prison camp, a dullness grew in Leo's once young eyes, as though he'd reached a philosophical understanding or had just gotten old. When I think about talking with him under that blue sky, it made me want to claw at my head. Their innocent eyes and smiles are now my worst nightmare, tormenting me. I think Leo is coming to a similar conclusion. Maybe not completely restore what Japan was, but make it something better and still retain its own identity. Hopefully that's the goal that Leo and Rose try to strive for.
I came back to Japan and read a newspaper in the repatriation office.
Did it say something about that southern country?
Yeah.
Even though he'd given up on everything and thought he'd forgotten about it, that country was mentioned there. He had thought their cheap talk would disappear like bubbles, and the original colonists would have returned after 3 years and scattered his former peoples. However, he was wrong. They were forming volunteer armies all over the country and rising up. The day for their real battle had already arrived, when Leo was despairing in that prison camp.
Right now, they're forming volunteer armies all over the country, fighting for their independence. They sweated and trained, dreaming of that day.
Even though Leo had sworn to be with them on that day, he had done nothing but lazily wander around this unrecognizable Tokyo. When he looked up into the sunlight and felt his mind slip into the distance, he always remembered their faces. When the day to fight comes, I'll take a gun and fight with you, even though we were born in different countries. Even though we all swore that to each other, standing side by side and talking of the future.
Even though I supposedly have nothing to do with that country anymore. However, that part of me makes me so angry that we went there to save them. And right now I should go fight with them, go shed my blood with them. It's nothing to do with me. I don't care. But the more I think about that, the harder it is to forget their earnest gazes.
Leo-kun! Rose finally understood Leo's war. Fighting with them and achieving independence. That was his war. It'll be all right. They're your students, aren't they? I'm sure their passion will pave the way to the future.
Passion alone won't change the military situation. The enemy is a regular army, 120,000 strong. It seems they're resisting with guerrilla warfare, but the enemy is fighting all out. Nearly all the major cities, including the capital, have fallen. There is no hope left. Even though now is their promised time, when we should be fighting together.
Surely that's what Leo wanted to say. Rose understood Leo's feelings painfully well. Right now, Leo was continuing in that country, to the distant south. And his old friends were fighting a difficult fight. Oh, another typo.
I don't want to abandon friends I've sworn to fight alongside. Never again. So I don't want to break my promise to fight for Primavera.
Indonesia. Thanks, Armagus. I'm not as familiar with the history of Southeast Asia.
Because of that, I'll fight by your side until the end. That I promise you.
Thank you, Leo-kun. I feel as though I've learned a lot from you today. A lot. I knew I'll be able to fight until the end, to guide my countrymen as one of your pupils. So, when you finish fighting with me, go and end your war.
Rose.
I'll keep waiting for you. By the time you come back, your homeland will be reborn into one you can become fond of. I can do it. Because tonight, you've given me the strength.
I might have gotten something too.
What's that?
The power to live, maybe. You've shown me how to spend this life of mine.
Leo-kun, with this Umineko music in the background, I know we can. Lend me your strength. For our countrymen. To save this city, we have to get our hands dirty.
Yeah. Eventually, the night will end.
Yes.
And when the dawn comes, that'll mark the start of new days for you and Primavera.
The two of them stayed awake until dawn came. They talked about all sorts of things, and saw the dawn of a new Primavera seep in through the window. The dark sky changed from a deep purple to an autumnal crimson, before becoming a heavenly gold. Even though ladies of the evening should be sick and tired of seeing the sun rise, that beautiful rising sun made the tears in Rose's eyes glitter like diamonds. Then Rose stood up and stretched out her hand. The hand reached for the telephone.
I don't think room service is up yet.
No, that's not it. There's one more person I really want to show my resolve to. Second only to you.
Do you know the number?
Yeah. I got it the other day. Inside a beat-up old office where you could hear the waves, there wasn't a sound to be heard except Caleb's yawn. No matter how much wealth he amassed and how many hotel suites he switched between, he insisted that there was no bed better than this worn-out sofa. Miguel was also wrapped in a blanket, lying down beneath the desk. However, he noticed something approaching, and with a reaction like a wild animal, he pulled out his gun and looked outside. It was one of Miguel's underlings. He seemed to be unusually flustered considering the time, with the sun just barely rising into the sky. Miguel quietly left the office so as not to wake Caleb. Then he heard the report, and even he was surprised.
What? What's going on?
Sorry to bother you so early in the morning. They said there's a phone call for you. Oh, this is the part that we saw in the preview.
Fool. What time do you think it is?
And it's from Rose.
What does she want?
I don't know. She's saying she won't talk to anyone but you.
Well, why not?
If you pick up the phone, they might be able to figure out where you are.
This is 1940s. Miguel, that kind of technology doesn't exist. We should call her back from here. But how does Rose know this number?
Because we gave her the number when we went to Primavera.
I see. So she thought it was the only number she could use to talk to me.
Will you answer?
Even if it's a person I want to kill. It's not my style to keep a woman waiting.
In the administrative offices, bodyguards under Miguel's command were nervously holding the receiver.
Let me be alone. Everybody out.
Yes, Father. Wake up everyone who's sleeping. This might be a trap to pinpoint the father's location and attack. Gather the night watch and get all the cars started. Get Caleb's car here too.
Quite the scene we have here. And all from a single phone call from a woman.
After a big yawn, Caleb calmly took the receiver.
Hey, Rose!
I said Caleb calmly took the receiver.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Rose. It seems terrible luck is something we share.
Ooh, new song.
You tried and failed to kill me. And I tried and failed to kill you.
Caleb's son. Yup, it's that conversation. Until now, I misunderstood what it meant to protect people. I thought it meant hugging the weak and using your back to protect them from the misfortune that falls on them. That's wrong. That's not what it means to truly protect someone. Rose's voice, which he hadn't heard for a long time, was unbelievably calm compared to how it had been. Caleb understood. Wow, this sounds like Kingdom Hearts now. Just like him, Rose had resolved herself to do something.
That's right. Protecting your friends on the battlefield doesn't mean stopping bullets with your back. You protect by getting your hands dirty and killing the enemies that are trying to kill your friends.
I've been turning my back from the resolve needed to dirty one's hands in order to protect.
That's why you can't protect anyone.
Yes. Without the determination to get your own hands dirty, you can't protect a single person. That's why this time, I'll fight to protect my fellow countrymen. I will stop you. Even if it means staining these hands with your blood.
Oh, perfect. You're sounding more and more like my dead wife.
Caleb-san. Primavera is making a proclamation of war against the Caleb family.
Very well. We'll accept that challenge.
If possible, please surrender.
Don't be an idiot. That's something you say to someone when you've knocked them down and pointed a gun at their forehead.
I will bear all the responsibilities you're trying to bear. At some point, I would like to have a good long talk with you. I want to discuss what sort of future we'll plan for our countrymen.
That doesn't sound bad. If we had the chance, I'd like to have a casual drink with you too.
If you just surrender, we could do it right away.
You first. If you surrender, I'll be able to sleep in peace. A boat needs only one captain. One of us has to die.
So you aren't going to surrender.
My apologies. This is the path we've chosen, right?
If you won't surrender, I will use these hands and this gun to shoot you to death.
So, you have come back alive.
Yes. Throwing away my life would be the same as throwing away my responsibility as a dragon.
Must not have worked.
What?
Nothing.
I have a duty to live and guide my countrymen.
I am glad. So you were a person fit to become a dragon after all, Madam Rose.
Great. So there's no need to test her anymore.
Oh, what might you be talking about?
Leo had long since realized that Meiju planned to trick Rose and use her as human ammunition if circumstances permitted. However, until the fight with Caleb ended, the enemy of their enemy was their friend. Yep, he's gonna be the next boss, isn't he? And it was the same for Chinatown. As long as they could defeat Caleb without getting their hands dirty, they didn't care if Rose was human ammunition or the leader of an uprising. On the contrary, it would be fairly convenient to have someone with connections like Rose in the unstable City 23 after Caleb was gone. Meiju, of course, but also Rose, who had been released from the dragon's tongue, smiled at each other, fully aware of this. We'll fight to save the society of our countrymen. I must express my sincere gratitude to you for keeping us hidden here until now.
There is no need for thanks. We are fellow friends living in City 23. If I can do anything to assist you, please say so whenever you wish.
Of course. There's a lot of strength in Chinatown that we'd like to borrow.
Yes. I promise the day will come when you'll be glad you placed us in your debt. With those words, Rose was planning ahead for what would happen after they defeated Caleb. When Alfred disappeared, it led to Caleb's sudden rise. So when Caleb disappeared, yep. Alright, who's gonna be our next boss? Who would be the next most influential force in City 23? Rose's statement was the same as declaring it would be hers. Meiju couldn't help but feel that her words showed that she had been reborn as a true dragon in such a short time.
Go, young dragon. Take the sapling of unrest that the Japanese had sown into this city, and pluck it as a Japanese person yourself.
Yes! That's how I'll protect my countrymen. And how I'll take responsibility for the dragon's ideals we Japanese have taken up.
And your new hideout?
Captain Butler's given us the perfect guest house.
Of course. Chinatown will not spare its support, but I have just one condition.
And what is that?
I would like to hold a conference, including Captain Butler as well.
Both the American army and Chinatown couldn't war openly with Caleb. They could only fight a war by proxy, using Rose as a figurehead. However, neither side could afford to have Caleb do as he pleased any longer. Primavera was trying to take advantage of that weakness to get support from both the American and Chinese forces. Rose, with her serious gaze, didn't notice. But that smoking man who'd probably given her a few hints was playing dumb behind her back. On the face of it, trying to get support from both sides would be extremely convenient for Japanese interests. From Chinatown's point of view, all they had to do was watch and profit while Rose and Caleb fought. Hello, James. Welcome to the stream. There was absolutely no need to risk backing one of them up and getting their hands dirty. Before Butler's name came up, Meiju said that he would be willing to assist him in any way, but that had obviously been lip service. Realizing that, Leo had casually hinted at the support Butler was giving them. This man is more of a tactician than he appears. Oh, I guess they forgot the quotes there.
This man is more of a tactician than he appears.
Meiju chuckled.
He's fully aware that Chinatown is extremely interested in having connections with the American army. Caleb is a bomb that can't be left alone. The American army is clearly prepared for quite a vicious fight. They want to avoid even a gunfight breaking out in City 23, so they plan to take the Caleb family down no matter the cost. In that case, though the amount of blood to be spilt is still unknown, the eventual victor is already clear.
The more support Primavera, the ones who would actually be shedding their blood, had, the better. So they're trying to lure the Chinese into supporting them, using connections with Butler as a bargaining point. Understood. I'll set up a meeting.
We will be awaiting contact from you. Please call whenever you please.
Hope we make it through. Stella kept complaining they were too busy to answer the phone, didn't she?
I must apologize for my actions. Please let Stella-san know that I am sorry.
Thank you for everything. That's all for now. Rose and Leo bowed and left. Richard and the others were already waiting for them below. They left for the new hideout Butler had offered them.
Are you sure about this, boss? Wasn't their status as a precious trump card for us?
Trump cards exist to be played. The time has come to do so.
I thought that even if Primavera wins, it would be best for us if they were exhausted by a difficult fight first. For now, the enemy of the enemy is our friend, but they will eventually be our opponents in City 23.
Yes, but that's after this story arc ends. Be patient. This is far too much foreshadowing. If you foreshadow this much, then the expectations will be subverted and we won't actually be the next boss. So stop talking.
Should we refrain from any excessive support and take a wait-and-see attitude?
Strategy is all about foreseeing the future and making your move.
The sudden rise of Primavera would be just as much of a threat to Chinatown as Caleb's sudden rise. Damn, Meiju being like a whole freaking Light Yagami style planning here. Or I guess more appropriately, a Lelouch style planning. However, Meiju's bold plans actually welcome such a development.
Favors are like investments. If you throw your money down when it's still a baby chick, your payoff will be large when it finally comes. No matter how fierce a beast is, if you give it food while it's young.
As he pet the iguana on his shoulders, Meiju's eyes narrowed as he laughed.
Then even if it grows a body larger than its owner, it will come over wagging its tail when you stretch your hand out.
If this was if this was a video game, the friggin' lizard would be the boss right before you fight Lee Meiju. And it would have like these crazy powers and like a tongue lash whip that hit all your party members simultaneously.
I see. So it's a guest house for high-ranking officers visiting from the American mainland.
You can probably call this the safest place in City 23.
Oh my god. Oh, I get to pretend to be an American? Oh, cool. Here's my American accent. Hello. I am an American. How do you do?
Oh boy. It seems to be proof that not only the captain, but even the high-ranking members of the occupying forces are backing us up.
The night that Rose had suddenly disappeared from Meiju's hideout on her own had been explained away as a secret meeting with Butler, even though it was a secret meeting with Leo. According to the story, Leo had gone along with her for protection. I wonder if Leo brought protection. So, are we supposed to stick around here until things cool down?
Let us hear what you have to say, Rose. Please have a seat, everyone. Rose has something important to tell us.
Sure. Let's hear what she has to say.
Okay, Meryl, please stop doing that. It's really creepy.
Why? This is my American accent. Don't you like it? It'll be great when we try to fit in here.
Please.
Oh god, Meryl, please just do your normal voice.
Ah, fine.
So, is this big news something you already knew about Leo?
Yeah. To Rose, it's a very important topic. And a very important decision she's resolved herself to take. But to us, it just means break time is over. I see. Sounds like fun.
Do we have a chance at victory?
Seems everyone had already guessed what Rose was about to say. Captain Butler and Meiju-san are going to support us.
You can see how serious the captain is by his offer to let us use this place.
Everyone had to agree there. The guest house was clearly a foreign country, placed within Japan but not Japan. This district was cut off from the outside world. You couldn't get in without being inspected by the MPs, who surrounded it at all times. Those MPs may have been suspicious of Rose's group. However, thanks to the powerful pass Butler had given them, the guards were forced to welcome them with a graceful bow, and were even forbidden from inspecting their luggage. Wow, let's go to a Starbucks and afterwards get some Red Lobster. Meryl!
Ah, sorry. Just trying to fit in.
Inside the district were various establishments needed for daily life, including a shopping mall. If they wanted, they could find everything they needed to live, without ever leaving the district. Furthermore, this place was almost impregnable to any attack from without. The region was under the direct control of the American military. Practically speaking, it was American territory. Butler wanted something that was worth offering Rose a hideaway like this. We are
Sorry. We're fighting, aren't we? With Caleb.
I could agree with some parts of Caleb-san's goals, but he's been fucking it up literally every step of the way, and just making it worse. We have to change the current situation to save our countrymen. That's a wish I share. However, the means he used were not something I could support.
Caleb's methods were too forceful and rush.
That's right. And as a result, he's only made our countrymen suffer. Seems Caleb-san thought he could gather 100 million and bargain with the occupying forces for that special offers window, but that is a complete load of crap, and I can't believe he bought that.
Caleb's overbearing attitude didn't endear him to the higher-ups in the occupying forces.
Oh my god, I gotta read Zarmegas. The fort cannot be pregnated, but we'll see if the same is true of Rose. Yep. I wonder. At this rate, Caleb-san will surely cause a large incident in the city. Caleb repeatedly threatened Butler with violence if the deal was delayed. And considering his methods up until now, he'd probably go through with that promise.
No residents of this city would welcome such a situation.
Cause trouble for the city dwellers, and the higher-ups in the occupying forces lose their heads.
And on top of that, if people start calling it a Japanese uprising, even the GHQ might get involved, right?
Restrictions on the Japanese in Japan would inevitably get even tighter. Code Geass Season 2 all over again. That's right. Caleb's-san stirs up a lot of trouble, our countrymen will suffer even more.
We have to stop Caleb. And with the Caleb family pushing things as far as they have, like a balloon filled to bursting.
Totally, James. Caleb arc is just heartbreaking. The worst person you know just made a great point over and over and over again. Yeah, seriously. If we take Caleb-san down, the Caleb family will be disintegrate. Will disintegrate. Sorry. I made a chalk typo.
And if it does, what will happen to City 23?
Who's gonna rise to power now? Who's the next boss we have to fight? Like, what happened after Alfred was taken out? This time, Chinatown might start carving up the ruler of City 23, right? And then we have to fight Lee Mei-ju.
Ain't just the Golden Dragon side of City 22 we have to worry about. There's the Ba Shan Bang and City 8 to the west. There's the Castiglione family diagonally in City 7. If you go across the river to the east, there's the Tomy Alliance in Chiba. They started a lot of trouble, scheming to make a push into Tokyo. There's all these story arcs that Ryukishi could hang on to, make more Rose Gun days. So far, the only outside force to involve themselves in City 23's affairs has been the Golden Dragon Society.
I was thinking that the Castiglione, that's totally a reference. It's gotta be. Oh my god. Oh my god. I knew that sounded familiar, apparition, and I just remembered. I knew it. I fucking knew it. That would be incredible if we got a cameo of a certain woman named Biche. Considering it's the correct time period. Oh my god, that would be pretty cool. Even though this is a completely different timeline.
Even though that girl from the Castiglione family, man, she's gonna have the most badass granddaughter that ever lived. However, word has it that this is the only because they've been holding other powers at bay. City 23 is our prey, keep your hands off it. Something like that.
Yeah, but Rose Gun Days has only 4 episodes. How could we possibly fight that many number of bosses at once? Give me a break. And of course, that's because the Golden Dragon Society has been a powerful force. But if there's a shift in the balance and the Golden Dragon Society weakens, City 23 will be chewed apart from all sides.
Wait a second, how many bosses did you just say? Fucking hell! In that case, whether we defeat Caleb or not, the same thing's gonna happen to City 23. God, we are gonna be so jacked, like seriously. By the 5th boss or something, we are gonna be like level 99 and be able to each take on like a whole platoon of mafia goons at once. Yeah, alone. We'll just change who the head of the underworld is, and the Japanese won't get anything out of the deal.
That's right. So in order to truly save our countrymen in City 23, there needs to be a new force out there to fight for our countrymen here. At one time, Primavera stood up to save our countrymen. However, we surrendered to the force wielded by the Caleb family and abandoned that mission. Why did we surrender to force? Because I had an emotional aversion to brute force, and I turned my eyes from it, unable to face it head on. No matter what your goals are, once you've abandoned them, they're nothing better than cheap talk. So I must, Primavera must, obtain a strength that will allow us to never abandon our goals again. So right here, one more time. I will proclaim Primavera's revival. As an organization that will bear the brunt to protect our countrymen. When they realized what Rose was trying to say, everyone gulped. They thought they all just needed to destroy Caleb, the source of all evil. Come on, guys. I know it's a bit of a shocking revelation. Caleb is only the second boss out of, like, a lot of them, but trust me. However, they'd also been on the edge of despair, realizing this would be a little more than a continuation of the musical chairs game that ran the underworld. Amanda-san told me something once. To unite the world, you need 3 sorts of strength. Influence, wealth, and force. Force is the power I turn my back on. Oh, wow. Oh my god! That's what George said back in Umideko! Oh, that is so cool. That's exactly what George said when he was fighting Gop in Umineko. Force is the power I've turned my back on, because I've been taught that force is an animal-like, filthy, terrible thing. In the society of animals, all struggles for existence are decided by force alone. For monkeys and the like, rank also comes into play as a form of influence, but what decides that rank is mostly an extension of force. In other words, all creatures on the earth except humans exist based on force alone. And so by abandoning force, humanity tried to redefine itself as something different than mere animals. They grew drunk on their arrogant belief that they were beings chosen by God, who could form a society without relying on force. However, even humans are nothing more than animals living on the earth, eating and excreting, fighting for dominance, with making children as their ultimate reason for existence. Because of their arrogant history of discriminating between humans and animals, they had ended up turning their backs on force, the truth that affects creatures on the earth. There are some who understand that truth and others that turn their backs on it. And the latter group has no hope of victory. No one wants to get their hands dirty. I can't stand to even watch violence. Except if it's Leo fighting, then it's badass. If I see a fight on the roadside, I know it's best to pretend not to notice and walk by quickly. Everyone thinks that. And so they've let those with power and force gain control, making a mess of the city. In that case, someone has to get their hands dirty in their place. Someone has to arbitrate the dispute, and someone has to treat an unreasonable enemy with firmness. Someone needs to stand up against forces that no one wants to deal with, to bear the brunt and get their hands dirty. And that means understanding force. We need someone to voice their ideals for their countrymen's sake, not for personal gain. We can carry out any sort of force without fear. And I'm announcing my candidacy for that position. I want to get my own hands dirty and fight to save my countrymen. However, my power alone isn't enough. I'm still like at level 20 or some shit. I need allies. I'll carry a gun myself if I have to. So please, everyone, lend me your strength. After saying that all in one burst, Rose slammed her hands down on the desk and fell silent. That was all she had to say. In other words, she was asking them to entrust their lives to her. asking whether they could die for her ideals or not. She couldn't force them, so she couldn't say any more. Leo had already offered his life, but he chose not to take the lead in saying that now. If he voiced his support for Rose, the whole scene would feel like a setup, and it might push people into agreeing when they hadn't really made a decision on their own. If it came to a war with Caleb, everyone would have to arm themselves with guns. I mean, a struggle of life and death. Certainly not cheap talk. Their opponent was the Caleb family, a powerful group that united the City 23 underworld. The occupying forces in Chinatown promised to back them up, but they probably wouldn't do anything to help in a life and death situation. They'll be challenging the Caleb family's hundreds of troops back from the front lines, with the mere 6 people here.
Ah, come on, guys. That's how it works in every single JRPG. A party of 6 people versus giant organizations. We can totally do it. I know we can. If JRPGs have taught me anything, is that 6 unique-looking characters are worth 5 billion generic mooks. And from what I can see, that's what their armies are made of mostly.
No one could answer immediately. For a while, there was a silence so deep that you could actually hear people gulping. In that moment, a shadow burst out from a nearby bush. When she saw that person, Rose was stupefied.
I'll entrust my life to you, Rose-san.
I knew it. Wayne-kun! You're alive!
What took you so long?
Richard?
Oh, come on, you know he wasn't dead. The freaking framing story had him alive, clearly.
But I don't know about the framing story!
How's the wound? I'm perfectly fine. Claudia should be good after a little time in the hospital.
Okay, so she's alive too. I fucking knew it. Really? Ah! Ah! On that night when Wayne saw the grenade, he grabbed Claudia, ran like mad, and dove into the sea. Were it not for his wild instincts and the good luck that kept in the shower of bullets from hitting him, he wouldn't have made it.
Remember, I have plot armor. I literally cannot die.
Apparently, some shrapnel had hit Claudia in the leg, causing a wound that could hardly be described as minor. She'd probably have to stay in the hospital for some time, at least until the end of the story arc, but it looked like her life wasn't in danger. Apparently, Wayne had also been captured by the MPs and released thanks to Butler. On that night, while searching for Rose after she suddenly disappeared, Leo made contact with Butler and learned that Wayne and Claudia were safe, and also that Rose had been released. Huh? Wait, what? Then...
Last night, well, it was a pretty serious atmosphere, and we got to, insert rod support A into slot B. I just didn't have a chance to mention it. Leo! What can I say?
Leo scratched his head and played dumb. If you had just told me last night, He tricked me!
Ah, come on, like you didn't want to do it.
Well, I did, yeah, but that's... Ah! Rose turned bright red, looking dumbfounded and suspicious. Wait a second, Wayne. Were you just waiting in that bush, listening to Rose talk?
Yeah. What did you?
He probably wanted to jump out out at the good part and look cool.
Hell, I would. I got here right when Rose-san was talking about something important, so I tactfully waited for her to finish. Really are a cute little guy, aren't you? Stop it, you people! I can't believe I lost to Leo again! Stop patting my head, going kawaii-so, kawaii-so.
The tense atmosphere had cleared up as though it had never been there. Was it because everyone loved Wayne? Maybe that too, but there was probably more to it. After pushing Cyrus's and the others' hands away, Wayne walked briskly up to Rose. Then he kneeled at Rose's feet.
Rose-san, even though I swore I'd offer my life to you, I ran away at your most troubling moment like a coward.
You didn't run away. I was the one who didn't have the necessary resolve. But now things are different. I'm prepared to fight on my own. Please, Wayne-kun. If your oath to offer your life to me is true, then I'd like for you to fight by my side.
Will you forgive me for running away? Will you let me be your mad dog once more?
Of course. No one else could be my mad dog, Wayne.
The friend zone.
Rose took Wayne's hand, the latter still kneeling. Looked like a noble princess and a knight swearing an oath of loyalty to her. Forgiven for his sin and permitted to call himself Mad Dog, Wayne rose to his feet.
Of course, you'll fight too. Right, Leo?
Dang. And I was planning to take all the coolest moments for myself, too.
Looks like I got no choice but to join in.
What are you gonna do?
Sounds great. Let's take back our Primavera.
Yeah. It's a perfect chance to pay them back for chasing us out of the club like losing mutts.
Normally, I would rather the two of you refrain, but it seems any attempts to stop you would be useless, correct?
That's right, brother. We've acknowledged Rose as the madam.
And that madam is telling us to fight. In that case, bring it on!
Rose, if you're gonna fight, we'll fight too. Stella Merrill, thank you.
How's the abacus inside you moving, Richard?
We have Caleb, who is hiding underground and has several hundred men back from the front lines on his side, against a group that may have the backing of America and China, but is made of a mere handful of vigorous young people. If this were a gamble, it would be a perfect opportunity to suffer massive losses.
And that's why the jackpot's something you can look forward to.
As a moneylender, I cannot invest in something so risky.
Brother.
However, every now and then, a high interest, high risk, high return dream can make for an interesting diversion.
Well, that's what I call a man.
If we're going to save our countrymen in Caleb's place, we'll need someone talented with money. We would like you to lend us money, taking into account what will happen after Caleb is defeated.
And will this be done to aid the next generation?
Of course! Didn't you hear my whole giant speech? The ideals I strive for are something that ought to be passed down to our future countrymen after all.
I understand. I have no objections.
I'll offer my life for your ideals. Really like saying that, don't you? How many times has it been? You freaking simp. Shut up. I'll say it as much as I want to.
You really are good at winning.
Oh, sorry. I keep getting them mixed up for some reason. You really are good at lightening the mood. How'd you get this cute?
Okay, Rose. If we're gonna do it, let's do it right! First, let's take Caleb down. Actually, that'll be just the start of our real job.
Exactly. It'll be a long fight, but we gotta start from the first battle.
If we can't win this, we won't get anywhere. Let us do it, Rose. For our countrymen, and for the next generation.
Thank you, everyone. Let's fight together for our countrymen. Let's defeat Caleb-san. Let's support a new Primavera, an organization that stretches out a hand of salvation to our countrymen. That day marked the true birth of the Primavera family. Madame Rose clearly announced their position in the criminal underworld. The criminal underworld is unnecessary for good ordinary citizens. However, it does exist, and there was always a battle for the top spot. If the citizens are tossed about by the tyranny of its ruler, then a good person must be placed on the throne. In that case, rather than trying to find goodness in the people of the criminal underworld, it's better to have a good person to rule over it. While Rose was a good person, she was also the leader of Primavera, an organization sitting on the line between day and night. She herself was the only person who could do this. She didn't turn her eyes from the night, but understood and protected both night and day, so that she could protect the lifestyles of her countrymen, who had now become a minority. It's said that Wayne still hasn't forgotten the indescribable exultation of that day. A sea breeze and the sound of waves running up against the pier. The midnight harbor with no people in sight was filled with sounds that would make anyone think fondly of the past. The southern tip of City 23 was a vast harbor. This harbor, which had received less damage than any other in Tokyo Bay during the Great Disaster, had been the first to be repaired. Between that point and the time the rest of the harbors were repaired, this had been Tokyo's main harbor. Lots of people and lots of cargo gathered here. Who's talking? Is it Caleb? It's probably Caleb.
I remember the days when this was filled with lots of jobs and lots of wages. And lots of energy. You were frantic to work, frantic to make money. You went wild, got drunk, mourned your defeat in the war at the top of your lungs, and ranted and raved about something or other. However, when you didn't join arms with men you didn't know and sang war songs, it was a lot of fun. However, when you gather money and people together, bad people will come and try to take it for themselves. American mafia start taking kickbacks out of wages. Unless someone takes them out, we'll be eaten alive.
Oh, goddammit, that was narration. I can't tell sometimes. God damn it. In order to protect narration, in order to protect the wages of longshoremen, City 23 Longshore Union was born. That was also the Caleb family's starting point. This beat-up apartment had been the very first base of the Longshore Union after its formation. It may have been Caleb's favorite spot. Even fearing assassination, even after Rose's proclamation of war, Caleb still came back here from time to time. He believed that this was the birthplace of the new self he'd made when he took the name Caleb. Thinking back fondly on the old days, Caleb threw his legs up on the reception sofa and drank from his bottle.
I represent the poor laborers. I wanted the laborers to feel better, even if only a little. Isn't that why I've been racing frantically forward?
Okay, so I think it was Caleb. At that moment, the crisp sound of gunfire could be heard, but it was quickly swallowed up by the sound of the waves. After a pause, the sound of footsteps approached, coming up the outer staircase.
It's done.
Good work.
Want a drink alone?
No. Have a seat if you want.
Okay.
Miguel sat on the sofa across from him. When Caleb handed him a different bottle, they clanked the two of them together and took a long gulp.
Hey, Miguel.
What is it?
Maybe I've been drinking too much. No, it's been like this for a while. I can't smell the sea. I suddenly get this feeling. Like smell doesn't matter anymore.
Is he sick?
I felt that before somewhere, but I can't remember where.
But you can smell something, right?
Yeah. It's soggy, thick. A stupidly humid smell. Rotting with a mix of sweat and pus and mud.
They didn't need to say it out loud to realize this was the smell of the hell they both knew. They also knew the state of battle must be in once they smelled that smell.
Even someone as slow as I am should be able to see what's going on by now.
That's not like you, Caleb.
It's not.
I don't want to see your face like that.
Forgive me. You can go if you want.
Caleb shook his head bluntly. However, Miguel didn't stand up.
Then, what will you do?
I'll start by doing what I decided on. Divide the remaining 50 million among the townspeople.
Okay, so he's completely given up. Well, that's nice. That's really nice of Caleb, actually. Maybe there's no need for a war. Hopefully he can take the other 50 million back. Damn. Are you really going to be like the Grinch at the end of the story?
I'll take back the 50 million we gave to the occupying forces.
Can he do that? How?
That's obvious.
Is he going to steal it?
I'll go into their headquarters and make them give it back.
And if the money's all gone?
If that happens, then it's Hanochi all over again.
I'm not familiar with Hanochi. Ooh, oh, I see. Scorched earth, it seems.
I'll cut up all the swindlers, burn down the building, and slice open my chest right there on the spot.
Jeez. Wow. Caleb. I think you should tell Rose this. I think this is a very good start. Are you going to reform?
I don't really get what you're saying.
He's gonna take responsibility for all the death and destruction he caused, it seems.
I'm dumb after all.
No, I don't really get it either. Don't worry about it. Just the mutterings of a drunk.
Will that end your war?
A war can end in two ways. Victory or defeat. If it's gonna end in defeat, I want to die in a way I can accept.
In that case, when that happens, I'll go to war with you. Only you can end my war. After all, you promised you'd end my war no matter what.
Forgive me. Making you join me for yet another losing war.
I'm grateful. Now we have... Wow. This is a big shock and some interesting character development for Caleb. I think what he just said, like, he's really... Caleb, I really think you should tell Rose this. I really think she would be interested in helping you out, if you're being honest. And I don't see why he would be being dishonest to Miguel about this. Now we have finally found a last battlefield to end our war on.
Miguel.
I've been dedicating my life to you ever since that day. Nothing could make me happier than to die with you.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you as a war buddy, willing to die with me. To fight together when the time comes, and to die together. There can be no greater bond between warriors.
I'm glad, Caleb. What am I doing? So like a woman. Something hot was dripping from Miguel's eyes. You ain't a girl, Miguel. You're just gay as fuck. As Miguel wiped him away several times with a bitter smile, Caleb grinned and stood up. Then he picked up the large bottle of the precious potato shochu he'd always loved and plopped down next to Miguel.
Now I feel like watching the sun rise with you again, for the first time in a while. Let's make the most of this night. Can't have you yawning.
Damn. Yeah, I never have, not even once. The name's Philip Butler, U.S. Army Captain. Ooh, what's going on here with Lee?
I have heard several rumors about you. My name is Lee Meiju, and is it a pleasure to make your acquaintance?
Oh, Rose is here too. They're doing a big planning. I see. It's a bit surprising. This really is the first time you two have met, isn't it? Certainly is the first time we've met face to face.
However, I believe we know each other quite well by now.
Butler, Meiju, and Rose were holding a three-party meeting. One might as well call it the first conference to decide the fate of the post-Caleb City 23 underworld. Primavera would be backed by the occupying forces and Chinatown. They wouldn't lose. They weren't allowed to. There was also the matter of how much influence the Americans and Chinese would have on the newborn Primavera family, once it inherited the position of City 23's ruler. Struggles over that was the primary goal for both parties in today's discussion. After losing Japan as their common enemy, America and China become great powers with different ideologies in the Pacific Cold War. Even the rulership of a single city on the edge of Tokyo was something they couldn't afford to ignore for the sake of their reputations. Rose had Richard and Leah behind her, her head officers in charge of the pen and the sword, respectively. Both Butler and Meiji were surrounded by their top subordinates, giving the massive circular table a dignified presence fitting for a round table. For Rose's side, today's biggest goal was to get as many promises for direct support as they could manage. For Butler and Meiji's sides, it was about selling Rose more favors than their opponent, while minimizing risk to themselves.
First off, I'd like to hear a plan for defeating Caleb.
Well, maybe Caleb will defeat himself? Just kidding. Ever since that failed assassination attempt, Caleb-san's been hiding.
Fearful of traitors. It seems he has kept his location secret. Except to a few high-ranking underlings.
So how do we find him?
Has the American army run out of options? Chinatown will offer to gather as much information as possible.
In that case, we'll promise to provide enough funds to buy a few of Caleb's chiefs. We won't let you be inconvenienced financially. If there's anything that can be resolved with money, just let me know.
I'm very glad to hear that, Captain. Thank you.
I hear you have about 50 million of cash on hand, Captain. This is really quite gracious of you.
What's that you're talking about? Some Chinese joke?
In that case, Chinatown will provide support regarding all the things that cannot be easily obtained with money. Weapons, vehicles, information on hideouts, yada yada ipso fatso. There are some things that the government offices of the American Army cannot do, but which Chinatown can.
You don't say. But there's some strength we have because we're a government office.
The outline of their roles were being established. Monetary assistance would come from the Americans, while underground support would come from the Chinatown. They were using this day to clearly establish the areas of their support. In that sense, this was less of a conference, and more of a bidding war to sell favors to the Rose family. We'll use your support as a weapon to find Caleb-san's hiding place and attack.
If we hear about your plan in a bit more detail, just in case it's, has like a flaw that you don't see in it, and we can help you.
The rumors say that Caleb-san changes his hiding place frequently. We'll plan our attack to occur when he uses the hiding place that's furthest from Club Primavera.
I see. So a plan of diversionary tactics, yes?
Makes sense. So you'll attack the club first?
Club Primavera is a powerful symbol to us. It would be very natural for us to try and take it back.
So there should be slightly less danger of him guessing that it's a diversion.
In that case, how will Caleb react?
Madam Amanda is in that club.
No, she's not. She left.
She is Caleb's woman.
That's right. Given what we know about Caleb-san's personality, I'm sure he'll come to take back Amanda-san in the club.
Caleb family's in decline, and Madame Rose is the main figurehead for a revolt against them. If he just sits around after the club's been taken, his high-ranking subordinates will take it as a sign that he doesn't have the strength to retake it. After that, they'll all be aching to desert him.
Caleb-san will have to retake it. Not just for Amanda-san, but to preserve his union. Damn. Hey, Wayne, I think you should chime in with what you know about Amanda. Oh, he's not here. Fuck.
There's gonna be a lot of guards in Primavera to protect Amanda, right? Will you really be able to capture it so easily?
Those employed there are still of a favorable opinion of Madame Rose. I am certain that all of them will assist in this plan.
Plus, we know every corner of that club. Should be able to recapture it in a single surprise attack.
Once you recapture the club, Caleb will send reinforcements there.
That's probably where Wayne and Miguel will fight. And we'll have those reinforcements trapped like rats.
Trapped like rats.
When they surround Club Primavera and start a gunfight, we'll have the police capture the whole lot of them.
Huh, is that it? If we block all the main roads, we should be able to completely cut off support to Caleb himself, right?
I see. By making the enemy focus on Primavera, Caleb will be isolated as a result.
Caleb must be hiding out with only a few enemy guards. We cut off his reinforcements and get him trapped on his own. We can take him.
The captain's assistance would be essential for such an operation. Even Caleb's best won't be able to just open fire on the American police.
Got it. So we'll be able to handle things without any blood spilled.
If a massive commotion broke out around the club, it would only be natural for the police to show up. There will be no need for the captain's involvement to become apparent.
That rat trap will probably end peacefully. But if Caleb's side is pretty likely to start a gunfight, don't you think? It's our desire that gunfights be avoided within the city at all costs. Can't we push for a quiet, straightforward assassination? Just a good old-fashioned assassination.
Assassination would be a difficult prospect, plus we don't have any rogues.
Which is ironic because we're a mafia.
You may not look it, but that man is extremely cautious. And it seems that somebody has already ruined the one chance of catching him off his guard.
Is that another Chinese joke? Not really that funny, you know. We're also open for a quiet solution. But there's a good chance things will get messy. Particularly when you consider his right-hand man, Miguel. He's got a sharp nose. We probably won't be able to settle everything before he catches on.
Our plan takes into account the possibility that force will be necessary to turn the situation. There will be 2 gun battles. One at Club Primavera and one at Caleb San's hideout. The club is soundproof from the inside, so it won't turn into a disturbance unless something happens outside.
So, whether this ends up as a visible disturbance or not depends on the American police.
Huh. Okay, I get it. We'll show you what a government office can do. Still, that gunfight with Caleb himself might happen anywhere for all we know. In other words, it could be a huge disturbance in the streets with plenty of onlookers. What a pain. That's what the higher-ups were most afraid of.
We'll do all that we possibly can, but that may be the one thing we can't resolve peacefully. If possible, we'd like to get your permission to do what is necessary.
If it happens in the middle of the streets, this might even turn out into World War III.
They could cover up pretty much anything, as long as they could explain it away as a few punk burglars gone wild. However, they couldn't imagine how much resistance the Caleb family might show if pushed against the wall. There was a very good chance this would result in a lot of victims, making the incident impossible to conceal.
This will require a decision made by the GHQ itself.
We'll leave that until later. I'd like to be notifying your timetable when the big day is supposed to be coming.
Butler gave a rapid explanation in English to the officers behind him. Those people acknowledged his words, stood up, and left. It looked like they would immediately start preparing a story to account for the unavoidable gunfight.
We'll support you as much as possible. Still, do all you can to make sure ordinary civilians don't get involved. No matter what happens, make sure it all stays inside his hiding place.
That is what we intend to do.
It seems there will be many opportunities for Butler-san to shine. I better not sit on the sidelines any longer. Unless we can ascertain the location of Caleb's hiding place, this entire discussion is academic.
Exactly. And that in particular is where we'd like to hear your help.
Leave it to us, Leo-san. You may look forward to good news. The Chinese know this city well enough to shock you.
Meiju also turned around and gave rapid orders in Chinese. His subordinates noted wordlessly and then left at a quick pace. The war had already begun. Now that the conference had ended, Rosa's group stood up as well. We should go too.
Yeah. Even ideals are no more than cheap talk unless you make them a reality.
And to make our ideals come true. Ooh. Cowboy Bebop's theme song time. Alright, I think after these 3 little sections here, we haven't had one of these in forever.
Three, two, one, let's jam.
A Chinese arms dealer, famous in 23's underworld, He's based out of City 22, but he apparently has a branch store in City 23's Chinatown as well. Great, let's do all these three, and I think that's where we'll end for today. Look at that modern-ass car. Well, they do call it a toy shop. I thought it'd be in the basement of someplace that sells toys.
Of course not. It's obviously a code name.
After all, guns and bombs, the kind of toys men just can't get enough of. Come to think of it, didn't the rumors say the bomb Alfred bought to boom up Primavera came from here?
What the hell? Seriously, not cool.
So they'll sell to anyone who has money. Guess that makes them model businessmen.
Come this way. Come on in.
Several large trucks were parked in the underground lot, which lay beneath the building on a dimly lit street that Meiju had guided them to. What appeared to be several dignified Chinese merchants welcomed Meiju with a silent bow.
We have all sorts of weapons available here. I am certain you will find something to your liking.
Whew! No way! They're all brand new!
There was a line of weapon boxes in front of the truck's bed, with all sorts of handguns, machine guns, and grenades on display. It was like a weapon shop bargain sale. Cyrus's eyes glittered like a little kid's.
Wow! I love stuff like this.
These guns certainly do have mafia written all over them. Meryl picked up an SMG with a drum magazine. It's always been a mystery, but just where in her slender body does she get the strength to lift up that giant hunk of metal?
Ooh, Meryl, you got good eyes. That's an M1928 with a drum magazine. An American monster will empty its underground drum. You just hold the trigger down for 10 seconds.
Sweet, that's fully automatic.
No, that is a Type 28 automatic rifle. The newest model used in the front lines by the Chinese army.
Whoa! Ain't this an M3 grease gun?
Not so. That is a Type 44 11mm submachine gun. The newest model used by elite Chinese army troops.
Now there's a laugh. America and China ever get into a war, they'll be shooting at each other with the same guns.
I doubt my thin arms will be able to mount a fierce machine gun like that.
Well, you never know, Stella. You never know. Look what I can do.
Is it outdated to use rifles like these, which you can hold steady against your shoulder?
Not at all! Compared to these young signs of machine gun making, bolt action guns are well polished hard. It's got range, precision, power too. If you use it right, it's no worse choice than a machine gun, even today.
To mafias, which specialize in mid-city gunfights with special separations of less than 100 meters. Their weapon of choice was the hand-to-hand weapon machine gun, which was short-ranged and imprecise, but capable of firing off a rain of bullets at once. However, in this age, the machine gun was still a very underdeveloped weapon. It was still a long way away from surpassing the bolt-action rifle, whose strong points have been technically refined during its long history.
In other words, it's just perfect for someone who likes hiding in a corner and sniping people like you.
Hey, it's a legitimate strategy. When you're going all trigger happy, that'd be the perfect chance to aim for your head and pass it off as a stray bullet.
Why, you! Hey, I know a cool little trick. If you really want to use your live rifle right, you gotta start by looking down the barrel and taking a test shot.
Thanks for the tip, Short Stack. Why don't you come over and give me a hand with that?
Ah! Fuck you, string bean!
The two of them started growling and having a staring contest. Meryl with a machine gun and Stella with a rifle.
Machine guns!
Rifles.
Machine guns!
Rifles!
Machine guns!
Rifles! Machine guns!
Rifles!
Machine guns.
Rifles!
Rifles?
Rifles and on rifles, that's final! Huh?
Oh, if you insist then.
Yes, we're definitely doing rifles!
Great, then we agree.
Wait a minute! What? Are you?
Not a bad filling of their respective roles. After retaking Club Primavera, it will be a siege battle. Shots fired outside would damage the captain's reputation, so they would have to intercept the enemy reinforcements inside the building. When that happened, Meryl's barrage would probably make for a useful defense. And if Stella set up camp in the shadows of the stage, the whole floor would be within her rifle's range.
When we break in, I'll use a shotgun. And after we check in the club, we'll hand out guns to all the women who can fight, set up a barricade, block the back entrance, and what happened with that?
Oh, that was Cyrus. Sorry. Should've known Cyrus would have the shotgun. Fits him perfectly.
Pretend I just said that in old Meryl's voice for some reason.
The gears in Cyrus's mind span as he imagined the gunfight that would break out within Primavera. He looked over the pile of guns and ammunition with a practiced eye, rapidly making further orders and exchanges.
One thing for sure, we'll be giving the club full renovation that day.
I could introduce you to some splendid merchants in the area of interior decorating. Please feel free to speak with them at your leisure.
Now there's a Chinese businessman for you. Nice and enterprising.
Well, okay. After all the...
Well, okay. After all, the American Army's picking up the tab for all this.
Stella and Meryl still seem to be in a scuffle over that rifle.
Machine guns!
Rifles!
By the way, Meiju-san, pretty sure over there that's one of our Japanese Type 38 infantry rifles. But could it be that it's a Chinese make too?
What good eyes you have, Cyrus-san. That is a Type 38 sniper rifle. A powerful weapon used by the Chinese army in the Second Sino-Japanese War.
Dang! I can see why Japan lost to China.
Ooh, back to Cowboy Bebop. Weapons and ammunition were in all Chinatown had to offer. They also had trucks and such to carry it all, and apartments throughout the city to use as hideouts. Along with all this, they could also offer several other hard-to-get items with the passing of a single note. Cyrus and the others couldn't help but feel the advantages of Chinatown's backing. If wealth and force are equivalent, how much blood can you buy for a single bill? In underworld wars, people filled their machine gun magazines with stacks of money.
Did you get the cash?
Yes, the other day. We received it without issue.
That's receipt-free money you have there. Use it however you like.
Damn, using Caleb's money to own money to take him down. Feel almost sorry for him. But he did steal it.
Also, I've set up a temporary account for your war funds. I'll transfer more money into that soon.
We are deeply grateful for your assistance, Captain.
That money could be used for strategies requiring weapons and cars, and could also be used to buy information or bribe leaders in the enemy camp. These were all things that couldn't be done with bullets. In a criminal underworld battle, wealth just talked as loudly as force. Just before Caleb broke into his office, Richard had hidden the contents of their safe. However, for safety reasons, that money had been left in a place where it'd be hard to remove in the current uncertain climate. For that reason, this offer of cash from the oncoming forces was extremely useful. Now, going back to Persona.
If you need any more cash, you can get it if you talk with me. You need the sort of money that does come with a receipt. I can get you that separately. Just let me know and I'll handle it.
Thank you, Captain. We won't forget what you've done for us.
Of course. We'll be expecting a big payoff on this investment. Okay, is everything else going smoothly? By the way, I've been looking into the granddaughter of the Castiglione family. Do you think I have a chance with her?
Absolutely.
Getting all your weapons all right?
We already have made arrangements with Meiju regarding the matter. Cyrus is handling that side, so I doubt there will be any problems.
Any clues to where Caleb's hiding?
The Yu's group is planning to make contact with a powerful leading member of the Caleb family. Of course, we use Major Sound's information to choose a person very likely to lend an ear to our offer.
Not bad. Still, those Chinatown guys are pretty slick. Just saying this out of goodwill, but make sure you don't get too close to that Meiju man, okay? He's really lined up to be the next Arc boss, unless all this foreshadowing is meant to be a red herring.
It's rare for you to say something like that, Captain.
No, that's not what he meant. It's possible you even think of that guy as a friend, but he's...
You're right. He really is a friend and Richard Kuhn's business partner. I'm sure he'll remain invaluable to Primavera in the future. However, that friendship is a personal feeling on my part. He won't get in the way of my decisions as Primavera's madam. If the Caleb family is destroyed, there's a chance that the two of us will fight over City 23. If Rose ever traded places with Caleb, they wouldn't be able to play at being friends any longer. She'd have to deal evenly with Meiju and Butler as important members of the primary forces in City 23. There's gonna be 3 more choices? Okay, Apparition, thanks.
We may be getting ahead of ourselves, but it's very reassuring to hear you planning so much in advance.
Both we and the Golden Dragon Society are the same, in that we exist for the sake of protecting our countrymen. In that sense, I would like for us to continue respecting each other as comrades.
Looks like you learned a lot in a short time. I like the innocent Rose-chan, but I think I'll be able to find a whole new kind of charm for this Rose-chan who's awakened to the criminal underworld. Good quality having a wife. That granddaughter's pretty hot.
Feel free to fall in love all over again. Now that I'm more of an adult, you won't be able to escape my charm. Even though hardly any time had passed since the incident that had sucked out all her vigor. As Richard watched from her side, he couldn't help but be secretly shocked at her sudden growth, as though she was emerging out of a cocoon. The innocent frailness she'd once had, like a little girl who didn't know anything, was gone. In its place, he felt a sense of dignity worthy of a true leader. He felt as though he was witnessing the moment of a girl growing into an adult. A thought popped into Richard's mind. When Rose had been a girl, she had been innocent and ignorant of sin, which made her powerless and unwilling to get her hands dirty. Wasn't she a perfect symbol of the Japanese people, unable to resolve themselves to do anything and tossed about by the times they lived in? And now she had gained determination to act up for the future of her countrymen and was rising up. Their pathetic countrymen had always been powerless. Had always been powerlessly, resolutely unresistant to the torrent of time. She was giving us a faint glimpse at a bold future. Richard thought. He could entrust the future to a person like this. She may still be far from reliable, but one day.
I've been making preparations to deal with the outbreak of gunfights. Director General is pushing a massive anti-crime campaign down at GHQ, with the goal of emphasizing to the people that public order is being maintained. A certain Chinese army-controlled city is making arrangements to round up a whole criminal organization. So we're planning to sync up with that. If it goes well, we should be able to manage something in the span of a single night.
If we could get the GHQ's permission, we've got nothing left to fear. Now, we just have to step into the fight and take our victory! The occupying forces were able to supply them with more than just money and a guest house. Unless they arranged things beforehand with the MPs and the police? No, Butler is a captain. Those people might butt in during an important fight and let the enemy slip away. It was vitally important for the ruler of the city to get permission for this fight before it began. It's a lot like what happened in Arknights and during Code of Brawl. By getting that, they were stealthily making progress toward checkmating the king called Caleb. Alright, now the last choice. We'll do this one and then we'll call it quits for today. Timing ended up pretty well. Dreams are even more precious for the poor. Gambling spots give them a momentary dream and promise them poverty tomorrow. It's illegal, of course. It's also the base of a family that surrendered to Caleb. The flashy pleasure district wasn't filled with clubs of ladies of the evening alone. There was another pleasure on the same level. There was gambling. People grasped the small, crumpled bundles of bills they had earned by the sweat of their brows and entrusted their fate to the cards and the roulette. Sweet taste of their rarely granted victory let them feel like minor rich people for a brief span. That was the main source of nourishment for those who came here regularly. However, that only happened rarely, and most of the time those who came here ended up blowing their daily wages. Even those daily wages added up to a hefty sum, if they were lost by a great number of people every day. In the world of the night, This gambling spot that called himself a salon probably had the same power as Clipping Fair. Even this once bustling shop had lost most of his customers, now that Caleb had laid waste to the city. At the very back of this deserted building, there was a place called the VIP room. Though it was called that, the room was also used to isolate troublesome, so it might as well have been called the Trouble Room. And in that room, the biggest sort of trouble had arrived. Leo was lounging about on the VIP room sofa. Wayne had his back against the wall and was glaring about, determined not to drop his guard in any way. Across from them sat a man in a fine suit who looked like a boss, and a large group of glaring bodyguards.
I'm surprised you managed to show up here openly. Yep, it looks like you just let the rumors say. Leo says you got me, Kun. Admit it, you're supposed to find that I'm even more attractive than the rumors. True. That's right, even better than the rumors.
When Leo took out a cigarette, the boss took out a gold-colored lighter and lit it. The boss was surprisingly young and looked more highbrow than you'd expect from someone working for the mafia. Oh my god! Oh my god! His name was James Tomatake. Oh my god, he doesn't even look like him. After Alfred disappeared, he was the man with the second most influence after Caleb. Oh my, is he a real character? I think he might be a real character. I should probably give him a real voice then. Oh my god. Let's see. Damn. Shit, what voice did I think I gave the Tomatake and Sakonia, I gave that the fucking voice I'm giving Cyrus in here the southern accent, but damn. Oishi voice. You know what? I think I'm gonna give him the Hideyoshi voice. The bosses of the other forces in the city, who felt antagonistic towards Caleb with his sudden expansion of power, once considered uniting under this man. However, after taking a composed look at the power balance of City 23, James had chosen to surrender to Caleb fairly early on. Because of that, the anti-Caleb forces were unable to unite, and they all ended up resisting on their own and being crushed on their own. It was even rumored that Caleb only managed to unite the underworld in a few short weeks, because this man supported him. At first, Caleb was apparently ready to enter all-out war with James, considering him to be the greatest roadblock to United City 23. However, since James had given in so easily, some people were now calling him a mere coward who made money off amateur gamblers.
Hey, why do you talk to the boss?
I don't mind. There's plenty of people out there who call me a coward. That's a fact. But it isn't true. If you're a mafia man, then you might be considered a coward. That's not what you are.
So, I'll say the line. Nice place of business you got here. I like the style, too. After all, it's a pretty well-known social meeting spot for rich gentlemen and ladies in City 23. Thanks for the sentiment. However, that's a tale of the past now. Cause all the rich gentlemen ran away from the city. Now that the city's full of poor people and no one else, how could anyone do business?
And Wayne is in the same scene. Oh, fuck. I'll try to differentiate them better.
I believe gambling is a game for people who are well off and have money to spare. It's not something I'd like to offer to poor people with bloodshot eyes, betting their food money on the roulette. Bringing poor people to the roulette table is something the mafia would do. You're different. That's why it isn't right to call you a coward. Then just what am I? A gambler. You aren't a man who bets his food money with bloodshot eyes. You're a cool customer who always knows when to fight and when to walk away. When the time to fight comes, you bet heavy. But even more importantly, no matter how passionate the fight gets, you gracefully stand up from your seat when the time comes to retreat. Your art doesn't show its strength when you win. It shows when you calmly calculate that you're about to lose a challenge.
James smiled faintly and took out a cigarette. This time, Leo took out a lighter and lit it. The scent of James's expensive cigarette billowed throughout the silent room.
So, what is it you've come to talk to me about?
Oh my god, apparition, that is exactly what he reminds me of. Like the gambler characters in Pokemon, like a generic, like trainer type.
I'd like to invite you to take part in a gentleman's gamble. Not a gamble for any stupid mafia man who gets easily passionate and ends up losing his shirt. I'm talking about a bet for a cool gentleman. And the payoff? That depends on how much you bet. Just like all gambles in our world. The more you bet, the quicker you place that bet, the bigger the payoff. I never join in on a game on the spur of the moment. I much prefer to watch and listen until I've set aside myself before joining. Sure, observing's a fine way to enjoy the gamble after all. We'll contact you again before long. If you're interested in our gamble, feel free to join in whenever you like. Are you sure, Leo? We don't have time for... It's okay. Getting to read our cards is a fine way to enjoy gambling too. Isn't that right, James? So,
You're trying to judge my eyes for a bet. You don't make things interesting. Too bad I'm wearing sunglasses.
Leo rose from his seat. Apparently, he wasn't planning to drag up a hasty answer. Wayne didn't seem entirely convinced, but he had to obey and believe that Leo's decision was right.
Look. Oh, Leo. Could you tell me one last thing? Want to know my favorite bus size? Let's say for a moment that you do win your game. What sort of payback is there for you? That's simple enough.
Leo stopped, turned around, and then winked and grinned. Here we go.
We're gonna strike a jackpot in this city.
Ooh, here we go. Alright, I gotta start one to save. Okay. Thanks to Butler's help, we were allowed to use a shooting range within U.S. Army facility. We're fighting with just 7 people left. We all be soldiers. Oh my god! God damn it! Shoot those goddamn target dummies! There we go! With all my strength! Just like Leo taught me. Let's go! I gotta believe. Whew.
Great! Surprised I'd have to lead your hand from square one.
Okay. That was fun. Damn. They are really revving up for the final battle with Caleb. I cannot wait personally, especially to see what comes after the Caleb arc. Okay, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today for some more action-packed Rose Guns days. Next time will be on today's Sunday, so Thursday for this and Tuesday for more Remember 11. Well, until then, I would like to say so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. You are all the sweetest of hearts. See ya.